Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Yeonni, and this is my fifth time trying to film this video. I realized some videos that I prep really long for and I'm excited for, there's just so many things I want to say that when I try to read my phone and say it to the camera, I mess up my words and I get nervous. Anyway, hopefully this is the fifth and last time I try to make this video because it is an important one. This week I put up an Instagram poll for you guys asking you if you wanted to see a video on how to search for, prep, and apply, and hopefully get jobs. And number two, how to find flow in the new workplace. And as you can see from this, most people wanted to see the first option, which I totally get. It's a very anxiety-provoking thing to do, so hopefully this video can help you with that. But also, I did receive a few DMs from you guys asking if I could also make the second video, and of course, I thought, why not? Finding flow in the workplace is also a really challenging but worthwhile challenge. Challenging but worthwhile challenge. So I thought I would make that video as well. And so I'll make sure to have that video the following week after this one. So for the duration of the video, I am going to be looking down on my notes on my phone. I hope you don't mind. I just want to make sure I say everything so you get the most out of this video. An important disclaimer to say before I get started is that all the examples that I use, and obviously my entire perspective, is from the perspective of someone who is in a mental health field. If this is your first time on my channel, I'm a social worker and therapist. So all of these tips and tricks and advice come from my personal experience of applying to nonprofits and hospitals and other jobs in the mental health industry. However, after putting together my list, I feel like a lot of this advice can be applicable to anyone in any industry. Even if you're not in this field, I'm confident that you'll be able to get something out of this video that will hopefully help to ease your anxieties a little bit with this process. So without further ado, I'm gonna have a lot of things to say, so let's just get straight into the video. So some background information on why I'm making this video and how I feel like I've gotten a lot of experience with this topic. So in 2018, I graduated from NYU with my master's degree in social work, and then I started applying to jobs because, you know, I'm out of school now, I need to work, pay off those student loans, and I was able to find a really great job, and I worked at that job for 10-11 months. And then life happened, and last summer in August 2019, I ended up moving to California and having to redo the process again. And yes, it was extremely stressful. If you were following me around that time and specifically following my Instagram, you've probably seen a lot of posts from me being like, I can't do this is so hard. But I moved here in August 2019 and I was able to start my new job by November, and that was after I was able to get 4 interviews and 3 job offers, and I was really proud of myself that I was able to put in the work and effort to be in a position where I can kind of balance the ups and downs of certain offers and kind of really choose what's best for me. So that's when I was like, maybe I should make a video on this and hopefully it can help other people as well. So first things first, when you're applying to new jobs, before you even apply, you need to prepare. And when it comes to preparation for jobs, I specifically wrote resumes, transcripts, and other prerequisites. I don't want to go into a lot of depth when it comes to resumes because, like I said, depending on your industry, your field, your personal life circumstances, your experiences, resumes are going to look all different, and how a resume should look is very different. I totally get that, but at least in my personal opinion, I feel like the best resumes I've seen, and so the way I try to tailor mine, are clear and concise and accurate. I don't want to put too much verbiage on a paper because it's overwhelming to look at. I don't want to put too little words because then it might reflect like, oh, this person doesn't have enough experience. And also I want to make sure everything I write on my resume is accurate. Double check the address, double check the duration, make sure I've really done all of the things that I've listed. And when it comes to transcripts and other prerequisites, at least in my experience, a lot of places ask me for transcripts from my most recent place of education. So I made sure to, you know, type up NYU transcript application or something like that and get that transcript sent over. Usually it takes a few weeks for physical official transcripts to be mailed over from your place of education. So I make sure to apply for that, request that as soon as I realize I need one. That way it'll be here with me when I am starting to send out like physical applications. And other prerequisites. When I moved to California, I did some research on what the California's Board of Behavioral Sciences want from me as a social worker. Once again, this might be different depending on which industry or field you're in, but at least in the mental health field, and at least for social workers, I know that every state has their own requirements and their own rules on how to be a registered functioning social worker. So For example, when I was in New York, I had to do certain things, jump through certain hoops to be licensed as a social worker there. And now that I was in California, I had to jump through some new hoops, send some more paperwork, pay some more fees to be a registered social worker here. So for example, what I did when I first moved to California is I researched California's Board of Behavioral Services requirements. So they wanted me to fill out some form showing proof of my employment in New York State. So I called my previous supervisor and made sure to get those forms signed and scanned over, so those were ready. Other things I had to do was make sure to let NYU know that I needed my transcript. One other example of the thing I had to do is I studied for and took the ethics exam in California. It's just a California requirement for social workers who got their master's degree from out of state that they need to take this ethics exam to even apply to become registered to California. So part one, I made sure to prepare and search for all of the prerequisites, the things I need to prepare to even start applying to jobs. Part two, begin searching and applying. And this can look very different for everyone, but what I did personally is I went to a Starbucks or a place that wasn't my apartment every day and searched for 2 hours straight for new job opportunities. The reason why I didn't do it at home is I realized home is a place of relaxation for me. I like to chill here. I don't want to work here. Sorry if it's getting a bit bright. The sun is going in and out of the clouds. Also, it was kind of getting me depressed being unemployed and just being home all the time. So just even the action of putting on a pair of jeans as opposed to sweatpants, putting on a little bit of makeup, taking my iPad and going outside really helped me with my morale. Oh, the sun is getting very bright. Really helped me with my morale to get into that, mood of, okay, I'm doing this. I'm applying to jobs. I got this. And so 2 hours every day, I went to a quiet place and dedicated my time to scour through a lot of job search engines. And the ones that I use specifically are Monster Jobs, Indeed, LinkedIn, Google, and even websites of certain agencies. So for example, I know in California, Kaiser Permanente is a huge hospital conglomerate that has many locations, and because they're so big, I assume they're probably hiring social workers. So I typed in Kaiser Permanente and they were hiring social workers, so I applied to their job postings directly from their website. So that's also a great advice. You don't always have to go through these job posting sites. You can go directly to agencies that you might want to work for. I made sure to take time with each application that I put together, making a separate cover letter for each one. I have like some templates that I've made where I can just kind of insert things in and out, but most of the time I ended up rewriting each of my cover letters because, for example, one thing in my field is that sometimes clients are referred to as patients or vice versa, depending on what the agency structure is and what their background is. So I wanted to make sure that my cover letters always reflected the language of the job postings and like the job culture. And that's not a requirement. I just felt like it helped to make my application stronger and show them that I am attuned to those details that are very important in the long run. And then last but not least, for searching and applying, I always kept note of which job applications I sent out on what date. That way in the future I can keep a record of how long it's been since I've applied to certain places. When you apply for things, there's two results that can happen, right? They respond to you for an interview or more information, or they don't respond to you. And for me, when they responded to my applications, I replied to them promptly and respectfully. I just wanted to make sure that even before being able to sit with someone for a face-to-face interview, I wanted my email to show that I am eager, excited, and respectful. So I wanted to make sure my language in my emails were respectful and professional. Getting into the habit of responding to people right away, especially when it comes to professional settings, I think is just a really great skill to have. And the second scenario is they don't respond. Let's say it's been a few weeks, a few months since you've applied to a place. My personal advice is to not take it personally if places don't respond to you. For example, certain jobs that I applied to got back to me like months later, and I was already at a job. It just depends on where you're applying, who's reading those emails or not reading those emails. And I think it's just too much. It's just better to spend your time continuing to apply to other places than getting too caught up in just one or two applications that have not been followed through. Now the next part is the interview. When it comes to dress code for interviews, I personally like to just dress better than what's expected. So no matter what industry or field or job you're applying for, I personally think it's a good idea to dress to impress, because not only makes a good impression, but really shows them that you are taking this interview really seriously. So an example of an outfit I would wear is like black khakis and like a nice blouse and closed-toe shoes. I suggest showing up at least 5 to 10 minutes early and notify the front desk, or just sit there and prepare yourself. Ideally, you've prepared for most of your interview the night before, so try not to psych yourself out the minutes before the interview. Just kind of, you know, breathe. I think some deep breathing is important right before an interview. That way you don't freak out. I also try to make sure to bring an extra copy of my resume and cover letter in case they ask. It's just good to be like, oh yeah, I brought it. I'm prepared. And I also bring an extra pen just in case, because sometimes interviewers and recruiters have extra forms for you to fill out as an applicant, and another way of showing them I'm prepared. And during the interview, I would say be curious, clear, try not to ramble, and remember, the person on the other side is a human being just like you. So if they throw a joke at you, laugh, respond. And that's really something I learned through, you know, my mistakes, where I've been so nervous in interviews where I'm like, oh, should I laugh at this? Should I not laugh at this? Recruiters are just people doing their jobs, you know, and it made the interview experience better for me, the recruiter, and it probably positively affected me getting like a follow-up call or an interview or not. Some back and forth I think helps a lot. Oh, there's the sun. And another tip is that really understand what the job is, what the everyday is going to look like. So that's also a really great example to ask when at the end of the interview they always ask, do you have any questions for me? It's good to know what your everyday tasks are going to look like. So for example, for social workers and therapists, a lot of the times it depends on what you want, but at least from my example, a lot of social work therapist roles require case management, and case management means helping clients get plugged in with resources, whether it's housing or food or insurance stuff or medical help. So it's not direct psychotherapy, but it's still really, really important work. So in my experience, it's really helped me to let interviewers know that I can wear multiple hats as a social worker. And, you know, while asserting that while I'm most interested in conducting one-on-one therapy, running groups, and, you know, doing the clinical part of my job, letting them know that I also have experience in case management. I am understanding that clients have different levels of needs, and I can provide that for them, has been positive, I believe, in interviews. And now after the interview, you've done it, you pat yourself in the back, I would say follow up the day of the interview with a thank you email. I've seen a lot of different blog posts and just articles on the positives and negatives of this, but for me personally, I think it's just good to be like, hey, thank you for your time. After talking with you today, I'm honestly even more excited to do this job. And some people say it's kind of an outdated interviewing tip, but I don't know. I don't really have a rebuttal to that, but like, what's wrong with it? You know, if you personally feel like really excited after talking to someone, just send them an email. I think it adds another human aspect of the interview process, and also kind of gives you a positive edge. Let's say this recruiter interviewed 5 people that day, but only you got back with a thank you email. I feel like it could plant like a positive seed in the mind, like, and you know, it's all about presenting yourself in the best positive way. And in the thank you emails, another thing I notice that people do sometimes is don't copy paste your cover letter into the thank you email. They've already read it, and if they haven't, they don't want to read it. So just be like, thank you for your time. Looking forward to speaking with you soon. That's it. That's all you need to do. I would say wait 1 or 2 weeks for a response. In my experience, it takes different agencies, different timelines for hiring. One place I got a response like the next day. Other places I got an interview just a few weeks ago, and I have not been applying for jobs since like November. But I would say if it's been 2 weeks or over since the interview, I think it's alright to send a follow-up email like, hey, I emailed with so-and-so on this day. I was just wondering if there was any update with my application. And I think 10 out of 10 times, no one gets offended that you ask for a follow-up. Sometimes there have been times where recruiters forgot to like send me an email saying, oh, right, yeah, like you got the job, or like, oh, right, we actually need this information from you. So you're kind of helping them, you know, refresh their mind like, hey, I exist and I talked to you 2 weeks ago, what's going on? Clearly, I can't cover everything of this entire process in this one video, but some of my overall tips is be humble and patient while assertive through the process. And if a door doesn't open now, doesn't mean it'll never open. A different door might just better suit you when you have that one job that you want so bad and you feel like that is the one for me, and the interview process doesn't go as well as you felt like, you feel like you might not get this job. Even if it may feel like the end of the world, I just want to assure you it is not the end of the world. You're going to be okay. Sometimes you end up in places where you could have never imagined yourself being in, but you end up growing and learning and taking so many awesome things from that place. Maybe even more than the original place you wanted to be at. You just never know with life. So I want to close off this video by saying all of these ways to prepare and put things together, all of these little things are really important. I think they are really important. But the most important thing is to believe in yourself and the person that you are. Not just your positive attributes that you can put that on your resume. Maybe your glowing personality, your kind heart, the difficult moments you've experienced in life that you've been able to overcome. All of that, I think, comes together because that aspect is what will keep you going through this process. And what I mean by that is the job application process, looking for a job, searching, applying, can be a really difficult process for your mental health and your self-worth, because when you apply somewhere, either you're accepted or you're rejected, right? The word rejection can hit us a lot of different ways. And it's important to realize you could apply to one job, get that job, and you're good. But a lot of times it's a process. You'll apply to many jobs. You'll get rejected to a lot of them. You get interviews to a lot of them and then get rejected. Other times you'll get those jobs and it's fantastic, but it's a process and you need the stamina, you need the energy to keep going without letting it affect your self-worth. So at the end of the day, all of this preparation is important, but you have to keep that firm foundation of believing in yourself, realizing that these job rejections do not reflect your self-worth or the things that you can provide to society or to the world. It just means that that door is not your door. And there are plenty of other doors out there that are for you. Anyway, I think I'm finally done with this video after like an hour and a half of sitting here and trying to film it. I don't know why it was so hard today, but just me trying to be transparent with you. I am like dehydrated. My mouth is dry from all the talking. But I got through it. And I hope you're able to get something positive, useful, helpful out of everything that I just said. Editing this is going to be really interesting. And yeah, I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. I make mental health, social work, social justice, advice videos, and whatever else I feel like making in the moment. So if you want to see what kind of videos I do make, please check out my channel. And if you do like what you see there, please make sure to subscribe. That helps me a lot. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!